For each call to work, we need two dial pairs that we know for sure. One on the WAN side and the other on the LAN side. It's an incoming call from our service provider. We have added the description in the second line is inbound WAN dial pair from IT service provider to Cube. Remember, this is just for our reference as an administrator. This is not something what the user would or the router would understand. Incoming call number 212.333 dot 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 dot. This is very important command over here, which is defining that if you receive any call from this DID range 212.333 dot 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 dot, you know what to do next. You have to accept this call. This dial pair is just accepting the call from IT service provider. Anything beyond these numbers 212.333 dot 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 dot, the calls would not be accepted. Our company has purchased a DID block of 212.333.0000 to 9999, and that's what we're going to accept. Apart from that, no DIDs will be accepted. The next command is forcing our dial pair to work on SIP protocol. The next two commands for voice class SIP bind is for the control and for the media to which interface we want our signaling and RTP media to be bound with. And finally, DTMFN codec related commands are there, and then NOVAD to disable the voice activity detection. Finally, we have got our another dial pair to process the call further after it's accepted from the IT service provider. This leg of the call would process the call further after being accepted from the service provider with the help of dial pair 400. This dial pair voice 500 is going to further send this call from the Cube after accepting it from the service provider towards the CUCM server. So we have added the description outbound LAN side dial pair from Cube to the CUCM. Destination pattern command is going to again match the dialed number 212.333 dot 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 dot, and those dot 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 are variables between 0000 to 9999, and that is our DID range that our service provider has mapped to our organization. Any call between us, we know that belongs to us. So the service provider thrown the call towards us, we accepted that. Now we are sending this call towards our call manager server. So session protocol SIP v2, and you see the session target of the call manager IP address, which is 192.168.1.101. Finally, we already discussed about those commands for voice class SIP bind and DTMF relay, codec, NOVAD. It's time for us to go ahead and configure these dial pairs on our Cube router. So I'm going to copy these two dial pairs and paste it on our Cube router. I'm logged into the Cube router. Now I'm going to paste the dial pair commands. Awesome. No error message, and both our dial pairs are configured. Let's do show dial pair voice summary to see the dial pairs that we have configured. These are the two entries that we added, and one is to 400 tag is the dial pair 400 is to accept the call, and 500 is for sending the call towards our CUCM server 192.168.1.101. After doing the configuration related to the incoming call in terms of the dial pair required on the Cube, let's go ahead and make some changes on the CUCM side. Now I'm logged in to the CUCM server. I've come to device and then trunk. And on the Cube right here, keep coming down where you have got the incoming calls setting. You want to make sure that the significant digits are set to the right number. That is 4, because our extensions are just 4 digits. Remember the DID range that we have configured on our Cube 212.333 dot 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 dot. So those dot 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 are the 4 dot that we need our call manager to accept, and apart from that we're just going to discard everything. That's what exactly what we're doing here. We are accepting only the last 4 digit of the number, and more importantly, you should have the permission for the outbound call to reach our phone. You must select the right calling search space so the calls can reach after coming to the CUCM trunk to the directory number. So this internal CSS have the partition of the phone which are in internal partition. So I'm going to keep the calling search space assigned to internal CSS, and I'm going to click on save, and then I'm going to reset the trunk. Now I have reset the trunk. Now I'll wait for some time for the trunk to be fully operational, and once it's in service, I'll go ahead and make some test call to see if it's fully functional to accept an incoming call from the service provider to the CUCM server via the Cube router. Finally, the call will be routed from the CUCM server to the endpoint. Our SIP trunk has come online, and now it's in complete service. It's in full service. So let's go ahead and make some incoming test calls from our PSTN phone to our internal 1000 extension. All right, I'm going to make an incoming call from our PSTN number phone and the call has arrived, I'm going to put both the calls on mute. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of echo because both the phones are running on my machine. So it's the same mic that both these phones are using. Perfect. So now I see that both the phones are using G711 ULA and there are packets being received to and from. Everything is perfect. We did receive an incoming call from our service provider over to the cube, and from the cube to this call manager. Call manager finally sent the call towards our endpoint. With this, we tested our incoming call from the service provider to our endpoint registered in our enterprise.